The 16th of September 1944, 1:55 p.m. 120 miles east of Formosa is the Luzon Strait. Commander Glenn Dano presses his eye to the periscope of USS Picuda and watches 8 Japanese vessels cut through the water in tight formation. 3 destroyers prowl the perimeter like hunting sharks. 5 massive cargo ships carry 20,000 tons of war materiel, bound for Manila. The range reads 4,000 yards. His submarine lies exposed in shallow water, vulnerable beneath a cloudless sky, while enemy patrol planes scour the surface overhead every 12 minutes. Dano orders 6 torpedoes fired. Every single one misses. The convoy doesn't panic. Instead, they turn toward him. The destroyers surge to 28 knots, splitting their formation in a textbook submarine hunting pattern. They know precisely where he hides. Through the hull, Picuda's crew hears the destroyer's propellers, a high-pitched scream like death itself, sharpening its blade. 8 minutes remain before those destroyers unleash depth charges sufficient to crush Picuda like an empty tin can. The statistics are merciless. Submarines that fail with their initial torpedo spread face a 74% probability of destruction during the counterattack. Dano possesses 24 torpedoes total. 6 now swim uselessly toward the horizon. 6 more rest ready in the tubes. Yet standard procedure demands 15 minutes to reload them. Time he does not have. The remaining weapons sit racked behind sealed pressure doors in the torpedo room. His vessel can descend to 400 feet, but Japanese active sonar remains effective to 600. The mathematics seems impossible. He is blind, exposed, and out of time. Yet Glenn Dano is about to accomplish 3 feats that defy naval warfare doctrine. First, he will reload his forward torpedo tubes in 7 minutes, half the regulation duration. Second, he will send 4 enemy ships to the bottom within the next 18 minutes. Third, over the following 72 hours, his Wolfpack, Dano's Devils, will slaughter 16 enemy vessels totaling 93,500 tons, establishing the most devastating submarine group attack in Pacific War history. His advantage stems not from superior technology, but from a philosophy forged on a West Texas farm. Speed defeats caution, and aggression shatters doctrine. Glenn Robert Dano entered the world on March 25, 1905, in George, Texas, a settlement so small it has since vanished from maps. When he was 8, his father taught him to reload a Winchester rifle while sprinting across open ground. Stationary targets get shot, the elder Dano instructed. Moving targets reload fast and shoot first. The boy never forgot this lesson. It would transform him into the Navy's most aggressive submarine commander, earn him 4 Navy crosses, and enable him to sink more tonnage per patrol than nearly any skipper in the Pacific Theater. June 1927. United States Naval Academy, Annapolis, Maryland. Midshipman Glenn Dano stands before the review board for his 3rd attempt to qualify for submarine school. Twice previously they had rejected him. The board commander studies his file with concern. Your temperament profile indicates excessive risk tolerance, the officer states. Submarine warfare demands caution and discipline. Dano's response carries the dust of West Texas. With respect, sir, the Japanese aren't going to be cautious. Someone needs to match their aggression. The commander holds his gaze. Most midshipmen would retreat before that stare. Dano holds firm. Finally, you get 1 patrol. Survive it, and we'll discuss your future. Dano graduated 215th among 579 classmates. Utterly unremarkable academically. Yet his fitness reports noted something distinct. Refuses to accept defeat. Converts setbacks into tactical advantages. By December 1930, he entered submarine school at New London, Connecticut. For 11 years, he rotated through training vessels. USS R3, USS R13, mastering navigation, torpedo mechanics, and the cold mathematics of underwater warfare. When Pearl Harbor exploded in December 1941, Dano had logged more submerged hours than nearly any officer in the fleet. He had never yet fired a torpedo in anger. That was about to change. August 28th, 1942, 140 miles southeast of Truk Atoll. Lieutenant Commander Dano commands USS Flying Fish on her second war patrol. Through the dawn periscope, he observes something that freezes his blood. A Congo-class battleship, 32,000 tons, 14-inch guns, heavy armor plating. She travels escorted by 4 destroyers, an air cover that circles like enraged hornets. Standard doctrine is unambiguous. Do not attack capital ships with heavy escort screens. Report the position and withdraw. Let carrier groups handle such targets. Dano does not withdraw. He maneuvers Flying Fish for 3 hours, stalking the battleship, calculating her zigzag rhythm. At 11:47 a.m., he identifies a 5-minute gap in the destroyer's screen. Make ready tubes 1 through 6. Set depth 8 feet. Fire when ready. His torpedo officer hesitates. Skipper, if we fire, those destroyers will be busy rescuing battleship survivors. Fire. 6 torpedoes leave the tubes. Track time, 112 seconds. 2 massive geysers erupt along the battleship's flank. Direct hits. Flying Fish plummets deep. 300 feet. 350. 400. The destroyers pass overhead, raining depth charges. 16 patterns. The explosions hammer the submarine like the fist of God. Light bulbs shatter. Cork insulation rains from the overhead. A valve cracks, spraying seawater. Dano stands at the depth gauge, stopwatch in hand, counting seconds between detonations, predicting their patterns. After each salvo, he adjusts course 3 degrees, just enough to spoil the enemy's next solution. 4 hours later, the destroyers abandon the hunt. Flying Fish surfaces after dark. Through the periscope, Dano observes fires staining the horizon, the battleship still burning. His Navy Cross citation reads, Lieutenant Commander Dano daringly maneuvered his ship to penetrate the enemy screen, severely damaging the battleship, which was observed to be burning fiercely 1 hour and 53 minutes later. Upon returning to Pearl Harbor, an admiral asks how he survived the depth charge attack. Simple, Dano replies. I stayed calmer than they did. November 14th, 1942. Solomon Islands. Midnight. Flying Fish's radar detects 2 Japanese destroyers bearing down at 26 knots. Dano is surfaced, recharging batteries. 90 seconds remain before the destroyers close to visual range. Most commanders would crash dive immediately. Dano does something insane. He turns toward them and accelerates to flank speed. Skipper, we're charging at them? Torpedoes work better at close range. Make ready tubes 1 through 4. 3,000 yards out. 2,500. close enough to see their bow waves cutting the black water. 2,000 yards. Fire 1, Fire 2, Fire 3, Fire 4. Then Dano orders the crash dive, but not away from the enemy. He takes flying fish beneath their predicted track, passing under the destroyers at 150 feet as they race overhead. The torpedoes run true. 2 strikes on the first destroyer. She breaks in half and sinks in 4 minutes. 1 hit on the second, leaving her crippled and dead in the water. Flying fish escapes while the surviving destroyer attempts to rescue swimmers. His second Navy Cross citation notes, the men under his command on the Flying Fish directed their torpedo fire with such accuracy that 2 enemy destroyers were sunk while their own ship came through unscathed. The patrol officer who debriefs him asks, "Commander, how did you calculate firing solutions while accelerating toward the targets?" "I didn't calculate. I estimated. Sometimes fast and close beats slow and precise." January to February 1943. Mariana Islands. Flying Fish embarks on her 4th patrol. By now, Dano has established a pattern that terrifies both the Japanese and his own crew. He hunts convoys like a wolf, never waiting for perfect setups, never fearing escort screens, simply closing the distance and firing. In 54 days, he stalks 6 different convoys, fires 42 torpedoes, sinks 4 confirmed vessels totaling 28,000 tons, and damages 2 more carrying 12,620 tons. Every attack follows an identical script: aggressive approach, point-blank firing, rapid withdrawal, reload while running, return for a second pass. His torpedo room crew becomes the fastest in the Pacific Fleet. Standard reload time, 15 minutes. Dano's men accomplish it in 9. They practice constantly, loading, unloading, loading again. Every second you're not reloading, Dano tells them, the enemy is getting away. The Japanese begin calling the waters around the Marianas Flying Fish waters. Convoys specifically request additional destroyer escorts to counter this aggressive American submarine. When Flying Fish returns to Pearl Harbor in February 1943, after 54 days at sea, she has fired more torpedoes than any submarine in the Pacific that month. Dano earns his 3rd Navy Cross. Admiral Charles Lockwood summons him to headquarters. "Commander, you're being reassigned. We're giving you command of Submarine Division 222 and a new boat, USS Picuda. Bigger, faster, more torpedoes." Dano smiles. "When do I leave?" 2 weeks. But there's a condition. You'll also coordinate a Wolfpack. 3 submarines hunting together. "Good," Dano says. 3 boats can kill more ships than 1. July 1944. Pearl Harbor. Commander Dano stands on the pier studying 3 submarines. USS Picuda, his command, USS Spadefish, and USS Redfish. 3 captains, 3 crews, 90 days of coordinated patrols ahead. He convenes the meeting in Picuda's wardroom. "Gentlemen, doctrine says submarines operate independently. Hunt alone, kill alone. We're not doing that. We're hunting in a pack. I call the targets. You execute the attacks. We share the kills." Commander Gordon Underwood of Spadefish raises his hand. "What if we disagree with your target selection?" "Then you disagree while following my orders," Dano answers flatly. "The Japanese move supplies in convoys because single ships are vulnerable. We're going to prove that convoys are just as vulnerable when submarines work together." They train for 3 weeks, practicing coordinated attacks. sharing tactics. Dano emphasizes speed above all else. Reload faster. Shoot faster. Move faster. The side that makes decisions fastest wins. On July 23, 1944, Dano's Devils depart Pearl Harbor for the Luzon Strait. Their target, the Japanese supply line between Japan and the Philippines, the most heavily trafficked shipping lane in the Pacific. By September, Dano has earned his reputation. 5 patrols in Flying Fish, 3 Navy crosses, 0 casualties among his crew. Now he commands not merely a submarine, but a coordinated killing machine. Nothing in his career, however, will compare to what happens next. September 16th, 1944, 11:30 a.m., Picuda's radar operator acquires the contact first. Convoy bearing 270, 8 merchants, 3 tin cans, Dano radios, spadefish, and redfish. Contact bearing 270, 8 merchants, 3 destroyers. We're taking them. The plan is textbook Wolfpack tactics. Picuda attacks from the south, herding the convoy north, where spadefish and redfish wait submerged to ambush the survivors. Simple, effective. Except the convoy refuses to behave according to the textbook. When Picuda's periscope breaks the surface at 1:45 p.m., the Japanese vessels maintain a tight defensive formation, zigzagging every 4 minutes. Destroyers positioned perfectly to counter submarine attacks. Someone has trained these escorts well. Dano faces a choice. He can wait for darkness, sacrificing surprise for better positioning, or he can attack now in broad daylight with full visibility and maximum risk. He chooses now. Battle stations torpedo. Set depth 6 feet. Prepare for daylight surface attack. His executive officer stares. Surface attack? In daylight. They're expecting submerged. We're going fast and aggressive. Dano checks his stopwatch. We surface in 30 seconds. Fire in 90. Submerge in 120. Clear. Clear, skipper. The plan depends entirely on speed. 1:52 p.m. Surface the boat. Picuda bursts from the water, diesels screaming. Dano is on the bridge in seconds, binoculars raised. Range to lead ship, 4,200 yards and closing. The convoy hasn't spotted them yet. Fire control solution. Target, lead, freighter. Fire when ready. 4,000 yards. 3,600. Still undetected. Fire 1. Fire 2. Fire 3. Fire 4. Fire 5. Fire 6. 6 torpedoes leap from the tubes. Track time, 96 seconds. Through his binoculars, Dano watches the convoy spot the wicks. Alarm bells clang. The destroyers turn hard. The lead freighter attempts to comb the torpedoes, turning too early. Every torpedo passes behind her stern. All 6 miss. Dive, dive, dive. Picuda plunges beneath the surface. The destroyers accelerate. They know exactly where she is. In the conning tower, the crew stares at Dano. 6 torpedoes expended, 6 misses. Now 3 destroyers converge on their position. Dano checks his stopwatch. Torpedo room. Reload all tubes. You have 7 minutes. Skipper. Standard reload is 15. Move. 2:23 p.m. Depth 200 feet. The first depth charge explodes 300 yards away. A dull thump that rattles teeth. Then, Another. Closer. The destroyers are bracketing them, tightening the pattern. In the torpedo room, 6 men work like machines. Each Mark 14 torpedo weighs 3,200 pounds. Loading one requires a chain hoist. 3 men on the tackle, 2 guiding it into the tube, 1 securing the door. Standard procedure. 15 minutes for 6 tubes. Dano has drilled them obsessively. Every patrol they practice. Load, unload, load again. Faster, faster. Cut corners. Skip safety checks that waste time. Trust the process. 4 minutes. Dano calls over the intercom. Another depth charge. Closer. The lights flicker. A gauge cracks. Tube 1 loaded. Tube 2 loaded. Tube 3 loaded. The destroyers are directly overhead now. The sonar pings are constant. Metallic shrieks echoing through the hull. 6 minutes. Tube 4 loaded. Another depth charge. This one feels like a hammer blow. The boat lurches. A pipe bursts, spraying water. Damage control teams rush forward. Tube 5 loaded. 6 minutes 40. Dano announces. Tube 6 loaded. Good work. Stand by for firing. He turns to his executive officer. Bring her up to periscope depth. Slow and quiet. They think we're deep. We're going shallow. Picuda rises silently to 60 feet. Dano raises the periscope for exactly 3 seconds, long enough to see the convoy still there, 2,200 yards away. Destroyers searching the wrong depth. Set firing solution. Target the center freighter. Fire tubes 1 through 6. Rapid fire. 6 torpedoes. 1 second intervals. Fired at 2,100 yards. Point-blank range for submarine warfare. Take her deep. 300 feet. Silent running. Picuda dives. The crew holds their breath. 58 seconds later, boom. The first hit. Then another. Then a third. A massive explosion that shakes the ocean. A munition ship, Dano realizes. Secondary explosions ripple across the water. The sonar operator calls out. Freighter breaking up. Propeller sounds fading. She's going down. Contact. Second target hit. Slowing. Listing to port. Third target hit. Fires visible. 3 hits. 3 ships dying. The convoy scatters, breaking formation. The destroyers face a choice. Hunt the submarine or rescue survivors. They choose rescue. All ahead full, Dano orders. Reload all tubes. We're not done. 2:47 p.m. Depth 150 feet. Picuda creeps north, circling the chaos. The convoy is in disarray. Ships fleeing in different directions, while destroyers pull survivors from burning oil slicks. Dano finds an isolated freighter fleeing north, 4,000 yards distant. Set solution. Fire tubes, 1 and 2. 2 torpedoes. Both hit. The freighter breaks in half and sinks in 6 minutes. 4 ships down. Dano announces. Radio Spadefish and Redfish. Tell them the survivors are heading their way. Over the next 12 hours, the Wolfpack finishes what Picuda began. Spadefish torpedoes 2 more freighters. Redfish sinks a tanker. By midnight, 7 of the 8 ships in the convoy rest on the bottom of the Luzon Strait. The 8th, a lone cargo vessel, limps toward Manila at 8 knots, smoke trailing from a damaged engine. Dano tracks her for 6 hours, waiting until she is alone, Far from help. At 4:15 a.m., Picuda surfaces 1,000 yards behind her. Dano fires his last 2 torpedoes from the stern tubes. Both hit. The final ship sinks at dawn. 8 ships, all sunk in 14 hours. Dano radios. Pearl Harbor. Convoy destroyed. Ammunition, fuel, supplies. Estimate 30,000 tons. Proceeding to next patrol area. Admiral Lockwood's response is immediate. Outstanding work. Continue operations. Dano smiles. Reload all tubes. We're hunting. September 18th, 1944. Imperial Japanese Navy Headquarters. Tokyo. The loss of the Luzon convoy triggers panic. 8 ships in one day. An entire supply column obliterated. The report lands on Admiral Soemu Toyoda's desk with devastating clarity. American submarine Wolfpack. Coordinated attack. No survivors from 6 vessels. The Japanese had suspected the Americans were experimenting with coordinated submarine tactics. This confirms it. Within 48 hours, convoy protocols change. Minimum 5 destroyer escorts. Mandatory air cover. Route diversions every 6 hours. None of it matters. Dano's devils hunt for 72 days. By the time they return to Pearl Harbor on October 3rd, they have sunk 16 enemy ships totaling 93,500 tons and damaged 6 more, totaling 49,000 tons. The most successful submarine Wolfpack operation in Pacific War history. Dano's 4th Navy Cross citation reads, "Despite strong air and surface escort screens, Commander Dano launched well-planned and aggressive torpedo attacks, which resulted in the sinking of 5 enemy freighters. In addition, he coordinated the actions of the attack group, which sank 16 enemy ships." When Picuda docks at Pearl Harbor, Admiral Lockwood waits on the pier. "Commander Dano, that 7-minute reload. How did you do it?" "Practice," Dano says. "And men who trust me enough to skip the safety checks that waste time." Lockwood raises an eyebrow. "That's not regulation. Neither is sinking 16 ships in 70 days. Lockwood laughs. "Fair point. October 1944. USS Picuda. 5th War Patrol. Formosa Strait. 3 weeks after the Luzon Massacre, Dano is back at sea. This time, the Japanese are ready. Convoys travel only at night. Escorts employ radar. Air patrols are constant. It does not matter. On October 19th, Picuda intercepts a heavily escorted convoy. 4 cargo ships, 5 destroyers, air cover circling overhead. Dano attacks anyway. He fires 8 torpedoes in rapid succession. 2 freighters sink. The destroyers counterattack viciously, dropping 46 depth charges over 8 hours. Picuda survives by descending deeper than her rated depth, 450 feet, where the hull groans and rivets weep. When they surface after midnight, Dano's comment is matter of fact. "Reload tubes. There's another convoy tomorrow. Over 5 patrols in Picuda, Dano sinks 11 confirmed ships. Combined with Flying Fish's 18 kills, his career total reaches 29 enemy vessels destroyed, over 140,000 tons of Japanese shipping sent to the bottom. But the numbers fail to capture the pattern. Dano attacked when others withdrew. He reloaded when others retreated. He hunted when others hid. In December 1944, Dano requests shore duty, not because fear has touched him, but because he has survived 9 war patrols, more than most submariners live through. and he wishes to train the next generation. The Navy makes him commander of Submarine Squadron 3. He teaches young captains the same lesson his father taught him on that Texas farm. Stationary targets get shot. Fast-moving targets reload and shoot first. Dano remains in the Navy for 40 years. He commands destroyer squadrons during the Korean War. He becomes Naval Inspector General. In 1963, promotion to Vice Admiral. His final assignment, Commander of Military Sea Transportation Service during the Vietnam War buildup. Logistics rather than combat. Surface ships rather than submarines. He retires April 1st, 1967, after 4 decades of service. In retirement, Dano lives in Arizona. He rarely speaks of the war. His neighbors never learn that he earned 4 Navy Crosses and 2 Silver Stars. May 26th, 1986, Sierra Vista, Arizona. Glenn Robert Dano dies of pneumonia at age 81. Per his wishes, he is cremated. His ashes are scattered over the Pacific Ocean from the fantail of a U.S. Navy submarine. No headstone, no grave, no memorial. Only the ocean where he spent the most vital years of his life. Some warriors vanish the way they fought, completely, efficiently, leaving only stories. The first is by the numbers. 4 Navy Crosses, 2 Silver Stars, 29 ships sunk, 140,000 tons destroyed, 9 war patrols, 0 men lost under his direct command. By any metric, one of the most successful submarine commanders in naval history. The second is by the pattern. A man who refused to wait for perfect conditions, who attacked when doctrine demanded withdrawal, who reloaded faster than anyone thought possible, because he understood that speed, not caution, wins submarine warfare. Both are true. Both are remarkable. But here is what matters. Every submarine commander in World War II faced the same ocean, the same enemy, the same torpedoes. Most followed doctrine. Most came home. Some became legends. The difference was not luck. It was decision speed. When Dano's first spread missed that convoy on September 16th, the rational choice was to withdraw, reload slowly, attack another day. His choice: reload in 7 minutes, attack immediately, turn failure into massacre. When depth charges bracketed his position, the rational choice was to go deep, go quiet, survive. His choice: reload while under attack, surface, shoot again. The story is not the 4 Navy Crosses. It is the decision pattern. Most men hesitate. Dano acted. Most men follow timelines. Dano rewrote them. He never lost a man because he moved faster than the enemy could react. He never lost a fight because he attacked before they expected it. Some things cannot be taught. Speed, aggression, the absolute certainty that action beats hesitation. Glenn Dano learned it from his father on a Texas farm. Fast-moving targets reload and shoot first. He spent his entire career proving it. His defining question was simple. Why wait? Why wait for perfect conditions? Why wait for doctrine's permission? Why wait when the enemy is right there, vulnerable, unaware that 7 minutes is enough time to turn defeat into victory? He never waited. And that is why 16 Japanese ships went to the bottom in 72 hours.